Hey everybody, welcome back to Starting Over.
I'm Camille.
And I'm Gretchen. We're so happy that y'all are here. We had last week off because you weren't feeling well.
Well, I was pooped. I mean, I did a big party on the 19th, and I was like, oh my goodness, I just needed to crash.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you go all night for like a week straight, and
she was partying all night, y'all.
Well, it was a week straight of every night busy doing stuff. It's like, and then I was built up to the crescendo, and the party was great.
It was.
And then it was like, I just need to sleep.
I know. You know, like the day after Christmas, you know, people are just like, I just want to stay in bed.
Oh, man.
But there's a part of me that's like, I just want to get up and put all this Christmas stuff away.
I'm ready. I know. I got a tree in my office. I'm like, I got to undo that. It'll happen soon.
But you know what? I don't know. If I can find my magic wand, then I'd be a lot happier. I could just.
Well, I think we're all going to have an AI robot at some point. Can't we hurry that along? I'm ready to have someone help pack that tree for me.
Anyway, starting over, in case you haven't joined us here before on this podcast, we're always talking about how to restart your thoughts in your day and your life. You don't have to have anything monumental happen in order for you to make a restart.
Yeah, that's right. Start over.
What do you want to talk about today, Camille?
Well, we kind of talked a little earlier about this, and I think having self-control, people are saying, what's your New Year's resolution? What are you going to... And if I could wish for anybody anything, even myself, it would be to have more self-control and more... You know, that second just seems a little longer when you're wanting to respond, and you choose your response when you're going to bite someone's head off, and you just go, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah. And I think, too, because Camille and I always have a little time where we talk about this before we come on to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be something huge and monumental. It can be, the self-control of how do you feel about things. I think so many times, I know that I've recognized this in myself, we become habits of just either ways of programmed thinking,
reacting.
Or it's just something that we don't even know that we're doing, but we've just always done something for such a long time.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you realize, like, wait a second, this isn't serving me. Like, I'm not happier, or I'm not content, or I'm not, whatever it is, I don't actually like feeling this way.
Right.
And again, starting over is, all right, what's a new way of thinking? What's a new way of reacting?
Well, and I think people get used to us reacting a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So people,
expect it.
Yes. And so if you're a reactive person, it's really easy to push your buttons. If you have a temper and you're known for your ego, people get offended easily, and so they're going to react. And so people, to me, that means you're powerless. You don't have a lot of power, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're letting something, get in, like I said earlier, a hole in the boat doesn't sink the boat. Letting the water get in sinks the boat, right? So it's like if someone got in and they upset you, they disturbed you internally. Now they're in charge of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing people don't understand is that's a sign of weakness. And how many people are on death row, in their youth because they thought being machismo or tough or, hitting back or fighting back and someone ended up dead or something. Like, because they had no ability to determine their choice. We're going to have feelings. You're going to have awful feelings. You're going to know how you feel. I hate that. I'm mad. But do you have to act on that? You really don't. Mm-hmm. I had a girl ended up in the hospital over the Christmas, attempted suicide. She was having a fight with her mother, and just got what we call the efforts, just like she just got to the space of it doesn't matter, despair, and then she took 7 of her pills. And these are pills that could kill her. So she's on the bathroom floor blue. Mom finds her, takes her to the ER. So we're talking about how she's going to learn how to have self-control over her emotions, because people are going to be people. Life's going to life on you. If you can't determine how you're going to respond to that early and know and practice that, you're going to be in trouble.
And when you even are having moments where you just I was just telling Camille, I was in a conversation the other day, and I was adding to the conversation on subjects that I never talk about because I don't like that memory and I don't want to bring that energy to me. And I found myself adding to the conversation. And so what happened is I ended up being hard on me. So I was giving myself punishment because I was so taken, like, why did you do that? And that again, whether it's big or little, you lose your power when you start doubting yourself.
That's right.
You lose your power when you're hard on yourself because maybe you want to make a change of whatever it is and you don't. Instead of figuring out, how do I start over? Maybe maybe somebody in prison, their idea of starting over is going to be different than somebody that's not. I
Sure.
get that. However, the thought process along the way is exactly the same.
Yes.
So we make choices in our mind before our body ever acts them out.
That's right. And how do you want to respond? You know you have control over that. A really great book, old book, is Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. And he was in a concentration camp. How did he maintain his self-control in that horrible situation when, you just want to die? But there are people that have done this, and so it is possible. You just have to know you can do it.
Yeah. If you've ever been in a situation where you go to court,
Oh, yes.
or in front of any authority, you have to behave, and so we can do it, but I think sometimes it gets down to, like in relationships, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy?
Yeah.
And so Camille and I, we talked sometimes about Abraham Hicks, and the quote that Abraham always says is, nothing should get in the way of your alignment with your true self.
Right.
So your true self is God that's in you. So nothing should come in a jeopardy situation of that alignment, which means, do you want to be right and speak whatever you want to say, regardless of whatever the ramifications?
Your judgment, your opinion. Yeah.
And I'm not saying you don't stand up for yourself. I'm certainly not saying that. But sometimes, it's like arguments that people have or expectations that people have on themselves or other people. What is the real bottom line? Do you want to be right?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be happy? Yeah. And sometimes being happy means, you know what? I'm just going to eat the turkey and ham dinner that I didn't want to have, but I'm going to eat it anyway because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal,
Yeah. Well, and again, who do you really want to be in the world? Because if you want the world to run you and you're going to be the end of a whip, just reacting to everything over and over and letting people run you and emotionally hijack you, that's what you're looking at if you're not going to take the time to really process your emotions and get yourself internally strong. It's an emotional muscle. It's an ego muscle. It's a mental game. But when you lose composure, you give your power away. And so when people are in the moment, like right here, right now, it's not normal to be panicking or going through anxiety, and a lot of people have that. It doesn't mean that they're going to be right or they're going to be fighting back. It could be they're having an anxiety attack or something. But that's typically about some sort of fear of not being good enough or not being perfect or something like that. It's a fear of something. That's what anxiety is. So if you're in the moment and you're going through that, you're really resisting something in the moment. To really seek answers for yourself, what is it you resist? What are you resisting, period? Because if you're resisting reality, you're resisting life, that's going to be a hard life for you, right? So you don't want to be resisting anything. It's like allow things to be what they are. Right. And when you see things as they are and you don't personalize that person meant to hurt me, that person's trying to this me. No, maybe they are, but maybe, does that have to matter to you? Does it have to upset you, right? It doesn't have to upset us.
And I think the hard thing that we can all go through is it's the reaction.
Yeah.
And so the reaction is actually when we don't have that control because our body is used to a pattern.
Yeah.
We weren't born this way. We have become this way, whether it's through our environment or through repetitive feelings, or maybe it's just a way we've had to deal with things. But I know, and you know this about me, like this last year, I've really taken a strong look at a lot of things in my life because I'm thinking, this behavior has not served me well.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep repeating something that the outcome I don't enjoy, right? And so coming to a place where you have to kind of look at the situation and go, it is no one's fault.
Yeah.
I am not a victim.
Yeah.
I get to choose how I want to react. I get to choose whether I'm happy with this or not. I get to choose if I'm going to be a bitch or not. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
so,
right.
But how do I feel with those choices? And again, that goes back to the alignment. Are you happy with your alignment? Yeah. If you're in alignment with everything that's negative, you're going to get more of that.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. That's what you're asking for. That's what the universe goes, that's what you want. I'm going to give more of it.
Yeah.
And you've seen this when you're around a situation where maybe the relationships with that person, it's always combative.
Yes.
It's always controversial. It's always, there's just butting heads. Why? Because that's the energy they're used to, and that's what you expect, and that's how you react.
That's the habit. Yeah.
Right.
But to break that habit, you break your response, you break your reaction. You don't react. You just don't take the bait, and you don't bait people. So if you want to have a different outcome in the relationship, you can change that dynamic by being silent if you're getting baited, or walking away, or being positive when you're normally negative. And people, look, when you start changing this internal, when you start using this internal muscle, and you start having peace, equanimity is kind of being peaceful in all situations, and you don't let people bait you or hook you anymore, they will get louder. They will get more difficult to deal with, because people like you in the weakness that you are. If you're reacting, you're weaker, right? That's our weakness. Whatever we're reacting to, we are owned by.
It's interesting. I know this is the case with people that, like, say they're in a relationship and one person loses a lot of weight. This is just an example. Sometimes the other partner gets either very insecure,
Scared.
They get jealous, they don't know how, like, I don't know how to be with you.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. I'm afraid that you're changing and I'm not comfortable with the change. That happens in our emotions too. When we start to make a shift and we start to elevate ourselves, please, y'all know, we're not trying to talk like you're better than somebody else. We're saying you are improving who you are.
Yeah, when you're growing.
And that's that's the goal of everybody, right?
Yeah.
But when you start doing that and you make other people feel uncomfortable, it may be time that you have to reevaluate, do I want this relationship?
Yeah.
Because, again, we talk about the cup. If you want that person to fill your cup, and let's say they never do, how long are you going to hang around for somebody else to fill your cup before you figure out, I got to do it myself? Right. Well, once you start doing it yourself, sometimes that other person or people are like, oh, well, now I don't really know how to be around you, because this isn't normal and I don't have the control that I used to have.
Yes. Or the commisery. It's like we were both unhealthy together, or we would drink together or smoke together. Once people start getting sober and they change their habits, again, what's there to hang on to in the relationship?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a risk of growth, right? But what else are you going to do? To me, it's like there's no other option for me, right? I want to continue to improve and grow and learn every year. It's like I was thinking, this whole end of year thing, and what's my resolution? I don't do resolutions anymore because they just don't work. I really thought for myself, at the end of next year, what do I want to say I've accomplished? And I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of, just a lot. I thought, I want to simplify my life. I just want to have a simpler day, simple stuff. So organize, declutter, get rid of. I just want to simplify. That's my plan.
And, we did podcasts about talking about resolutions and so forth. But, if you want to just make things simple, every day have one statement, one resolution that you want for that day. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And make it something that is obtainable for you. So, for instance, this morning, mine was, I want spiritual enlightenment. I want to learn something.
Yeah.
I want to have something before me that speaks to me and I have clarity on it. And so I thought, I may not be able to win the lottery in a day, or I may not be able to make a relationship 100% healthy, but I know what I can do for me, and I know what I can focus on in my sphere,
Yes.
And so try, when you're thinking about things for your resolutions, try to figure things out that are going to make you feel better. When you feel better, you are confident. When you feel better, you don't beat up on yourself. When you feel better, you defend yourself. And I don't mean that you're like the bitch out there. I just mean that you have your boundaries. That's or right. Your sacred circle, and you honor and value you and your opinions or your beliefs, and you don't just conform to what, either society or your job or people in your family or whatever might think, like, I need you to think a certain way in order for me to feel happy to be around you, or for me to accept you.
Yep.
This should be a year about your growth.
Yeah.
Your mastery of who you want to really be.
Yes. And I looked at like anything I'm doing purely out of obligation and duty. Like, there's some groups I'm affiliated with that I'm really not active. I'm kind of halfway there. I probably should just pull out of the group, or I'm looking at anything I could do to simplify like that too. So things like that, and then because I want to be present. I want to be more present in my life. And I think what you're doing every day with that ultimate intention, like what's my intention today? What do I want to experience today? I think that's a self-governed life. I think you can learn something about yourself every day when you do that, right?
Yeah. And I found too that when you ask, when you ask the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, when you ask to show me areas of abundance. Sometimes people think abundance means, well, money or, prosperity, whatever. If you stand in the shower, you recognize there's an abundance of water coming down on you. If you walk past the heater in your house, you realize there's an abundance of hot air.
Yeah.
And so when you start keeping a mental diary of, oh, that's abundance, and oh, that's abundance, and that's abundance, you all of a sudden start receiving more abundance.
Yeah.
Because you're focused on looking for it. It's just like if you're looking for the bad, you're going to find more bad.
Yeah.
When you've been around somebody and their conversation is just,
negative.
Yeah. After a while, you're like, do they ever talk about anything else? They don't even recognize that is their pattern of conversation because that's so what they're attracting.
Yes.
So, my whole thing every day is, all right, show me magic. Show me abundance. Show me areas in my life, in my everyday that reiterate to me that this is a wonderful place to be. That my life has wonderful things about it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, you know that you say this too all the time, Camille, stress is forecasting something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Primarily.
And you're making it up. I mean,
you're worried about something that hasn't happened yet.
That's right. And literally you're sourcing it. You're making it up. What if you can make it up to be phenomenal?
Right.
When people, it's like when you're making it up anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this guy say the best advice my grandpa ever gave me was, what if you couldn't fail? What if anything you do, you are never going to fail at? So go for it. How high can you get? What if you wouldn't fail? What if you're not going to fail?
I'd
and then just like give you a little bit
imagine, like if every kid really believed that about themselves. I mean, think about that. I know that I always am like, everything can turn in the blink of an eye.
It can.
Everything can turn in the blink of an eye. And I always say, like, thank you for my overnight success, wealth and fame, health, whatever it is. Thank you for my overnight. Like, let it be something that you recognize, no, this can change.
Yeah.
This doesn't have to stay the way it is. Or, try not to ever live in the someday. Someday I hope to.
Right.
You'll always have a someday.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. What is your advice when you have clients that, sometimes when people come in and they're coming in as couples, they want you to fix that person and that person wants you to fix that person. But really what we're talking about here is mastering your own fix.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I say you have the same fight over and over. And if I could just make her perfect, then you wouldn't feel that way, right? Yeah, that's not true. So I call them out. Both of them on their stuff. But I say, look, you need her to be that way because it's going to bring something out of you. What is it doing for you? They say, well, it's doing something to me. And I say, well, if I reframe that, what is it doing for you?
Right.
Because if she's nagging or she's, codependent or she can't get the kids under control, what is that doing for you? So, and I make them look at that and then vice versa, whatever he's got going on. So they can both see that they're not really taking care of each other. It almost turns into, well, I want her to go through that hard time with the kids so she can grow up a little better. I want him to struggle with his boss so
like
he can.
Retaliation.
Yes.
Of some sort.
Yes. And one of the best books is Man's Guide to Women. I think it's a doctor. It'll come to me, but it's the Love Labs, okay? And couples tend to leave these little breadcrumbs or little nudges of, oh, I'm kind of cold, hint, would you put my jacket on me? Or I'm hungry. I'm kind of hungry.
I need you to read my mind right now.
But it's a little bit of, if you could take the hint, like, oh, he's hungry. I've got some leftovers. Hold on a minute. You get up and serve each other, right? But a lot of couples come in and they're not doing that anymore. They don't care. They want each other to kind of learn and have it hard to grow up a little bit. And that's part of the gripe. Like, they want me to be that person. I'm not your mommy. I'm not going to make you feel good. When you come talk to me, I'm going to call you both out equally. I'm an equal offender. So I'm going to make you both see where you're both, being brats, and how you've got exactly what you're creating in your marriage. And typically it becomes competitive and a little bit of a, power struggle. And power struggling can last 4 days or 4 years or 40 years. You guys have to give something up to be happy. Like you said, you can be right. You can just be stubborn and be right, or you could be happy together.
Right. And that even kind of goes into a little subject that Camille and I were talking about this. In couples, it feels like often, it is common, I should say, that somebody wants to teach somebody a lesson.
Yeah, that's it.
And somebody wants to make sure that I'm going to put you through the test to see how much you really love me.
Yeah.
Well, what sometimes happens is the person that's being tested is like, I have no idea what's going on.
I know, right?
Like, where did this come from, And so that person is in some headspin of like,
yeah.
What am I supposed to do? This came out of nowhere. And this person over here on the other side is going, how long is it going to take you to figure this out?
Yeah.
It's just such a needless mind game.
Well, it really is the manipulation. Mm-hmm. But that's somehow how they feel secure. I'll tell you, I've had something happen. Like, this woman says, stay home, don't go to work, tell your boss you're sick, have sex with me all day long. Well, what husband's not going to go? Okay. What boyfriend's not going to go? Okay, I'm here. Well, then you do that, and guess what? She thinks that you'll give up work for sex now. She don't trust you. I'm breaking up with you. I know.
She just spun that.
Set that right up. You'll lie. See, if you'll lie to your boss, you'll probably lie to me. And so it really is kind of a game. Mm-hmm. And so if he says, no, I'm going to keep my word. I'm not going to lie to my boss. I'm not going to, hopefully we're going to have sex later, but I'm going to keep my word. You have to keep your honor with each other, okay? But but you want to make each other happy at the same time. So you have to know and you have to discern for yourself. This is where you stay in alignment. If you're in alignment that you have integrity and you're going to keep your word, you're not going to lie for somebody to feel confident or comfortable, then that's what you don't do, is you don't lie for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the same note, again, that just comes back to you're waiting for that person to fill your cup.
Yeah.
If that person needs to stay home from work and do what you did, you wanted him to or her to be proven. Yeah. There again, that you should be, you, as I'm speaking about me as well, all of us, we need to be so self-fulfilling that everything that somebody else is adding to our lives is gravy and icing.
That's right.
And it's just nothing but feel good.
Yeah.
Because I am going to learn how to fill my own cup. I mean, if anything, y'all, that should be the goal for the next year and years to come, is learn how to self-manage your own happiness.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you leave somebody out, but that does mean that you take them off the hook for being responsible for your happiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can add to each other, but they do not complete you. Mm-hmm. No. That's a bad line from a movie. Bad line, y'all. That he fulfills me, she completes me. No.
I know.
No, she adds or he adds to you, but that should never be the role or the job of somebody
to complete you.
To complete me.
I agree. I totally agree.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks again for following us on Starting Over podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Yeah.